Are you a business owner stuck in fear, doubt, and worry about what the marketplace will look like in the future? Then this show is for you. Strap on your seatbelt and get ready to disrupt and innovate. Here's your host, Lisa Levy.
Today, we're diving into the world of strategic HR leadership, workforce transformation, and business success with none other than Alyssa Borden, the powerhouse behind SuccessBridge. Alyssa isn't your typical HR leader. She's a change agent, a business strategist, and a hands-on problem solver who helps individuals and organizations turn challenges into opportunities. With experience spanning startups to global enterprises, she specializes in fractional HR leadership, workforce planning, coaching, and transformational enablement, enabling that and ensuring that businesses aren't just surviving, they're thriving. Her approach, no fluff, no theory, only PowerPoints, just real results-driven action. And she works side by side with leaders to break down complex goals into clear, executable steps that drive growth and innovation. Alyssa, welcome so much to this conversation today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It's going to be a great conversation. The rate of change that is happening in businesses today is huge, and old paradigms don't work anymore. So I would love for you to share with us what it is that you're doing and why it's so important right now.
Absolutely. Where I really have a lot of energy, I don't want to say passion, I want to say energy, is around helping organizations fill the chasm between vision and the reality of day to day. Because I see that so often that is a challenge that both individuals and leaders are facing, connecting really good ideas to actions and outcomes that matter. So my background is in HR. I've worked in a variety of different industries, doing a variety of tasks within that HR space. But really now I'm focused on that strategic side and leveraging how people work and think and do things differently so that they can start to take advantage of the new technologies and business structures that are emerging in our spaces. So my goal in the end, right, is to help people realize more value and get more empowerment out of the work that they're doing while building those new skills that will elevate both their own personal career and the success of the businesses that they work for.
And SuccessBridge is a new endeavor.
Yes.
So talk about the decision that you made to jump from your previous role into the entrepreneurial path.
Absolutely. I think like a lot of people who give this a whirl, I've been thinking about it for a while, and just had this itch to go out and do something on my own without some of the bureaucracy and challenges that you may face when you're working in a traditional corporate setting. So when there were changes in my recent organization, when I was in a finance transformation role, I saw it as a door opening and this chance to take a leap and really bet on myself in a way that was very different than I had done in the past. And it's been a fantastic journey. I have met incredible people from all around the world and continue to meet more people that just really inspire me, challenge my thinking, and have helped me come up with new and powerful ways to transfer that knowledge back to the clients that I'm trying to serve.
And as you're building and growing your business, working with clients, tell us a little bit, tell me a story. Tell me about, starting out and your first engagement and how that is different, how the reality of your first engagement was different than you thought it was going to be in your head when you said, yes, let's do this.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I was actually just talking to a friend about this the other day, and they said, what are the types of work that you're doing versus what you thought you would be doing? When I first started this adventure, I kind of envisioned more coaching engagements and things like that. But what ended up happening was, due to just leveraging network and connections with people that I had in the past, I ended up focusing more on a few key clients and helping them solve big projects and initiatives. So with one of my main clients, they were in the manufacturing industry and had a finance team that was looking not only to upskill their talent so that they could compete, right, and leverage all the great technologies that are available, but they were also looking to restructure how the work was done and how the team functioned together and within the broader organization. So that project ended up taking a lot more of my time, I think, than I anticipated when I first started. And it was a joy. I think the challenge in being a new entrepreneur and working in that space is learning to set aside a little bit of, I don't want to say the ownership, because a high sense of ownership, I think, is what distinguishes me as an individual, but also learning how to play your role differently when you're not a permanent part of a team. And so I did have some surprises in there with just leaning a little too far into assumptions and things where I needed instead to rely differently on the network of employees within my customer base. But that was an incredible journey. And even just reflecting back on how that project went, and it extended for a full year. It started as a temporary, it became a full year. When I look back, I think that's probably a really good lesson as I move forward, is to not assume, right, the length of the contracts. Assume that when you're delivering, you'll be asked to continue on, and then try to find that right way of setting expectations up front, both for myself and for my clients, so that I fill that right role that's just necessary for them while also empowering their team along the way.
It's a really important and powerful lesson that we learn when we step out of being one of the team to somebody guiding or advising the team, and that sense of ownership. And right, you are an owner operator of your business, and you do take pride in your work, and you want to put out high quality, but the output ultimately isn't actually yours, it's theirs, and it's 90 degrees different than what we were used to in a corporate kind of a role. So yeah, I think I still kind of fight with that one myself on a regular basis, because it's like, oh please, just let me help you. Okay,
Yes.
you need to learn this lesson for yourself, your way, on your terms. And it's a journey that we guide clients through. I love that in your first engagement, that story resonates, and you had that aha moment. Um, and you spoke a little bit about how that's sort of informing how you move forward, right? In a little bit maybe less formal structure to what you think an engagement might look like, and let it organically grow and evolve with the results driven response for more help and assistance on your part. Then that's fabulous. As you're looking at working with clients, what do your clients look like? Who are you helping?
I'm helping people who have either committed to a vision for change or digital transformation within their organizations, or are thinking about it. And there's a distinction there. It's for those who have already committed. There may already be structures in place or expectations set within the team, devoted team members or resources. And those are different engagements, because then I'm coming in to help fill gaps, potentially in skills or responsibility, or serve as a guide, coach, or advisor to make sure that those plans are seen through to the end and successful. And to be that outside perspective that doesn't necessarily have those same biases or challenges as someone who may be inside the organization. For those organizations that are thinking about it, that is a little bit more of almost a coaching and planning engagement, asking the right questions, investigating and gathering data, right? Where are you starting, and what are the realities of the challenges that you may face? Sometimes when initiatives kick off, I think that piece gets missed. And it's really important to understand where you're starting so that you can have a realistic plan for how you get to the end. Sometimes with those organizations that haven't quite started or committed to the journey yet, a lot of assumptions get made about budgets, timelines, people, and they set themselves up for failure to a certain extent if they haven't really gathered all that information and created the right culture and environment around it for it to succeed.
Absolutely beautiful. You've talked a couple of times, right, about the difference of starting with the idea and driving and getting to an outcome. And right, that's that second type of engagement kind of that you were just talking about, that thinking about. How do you guide your clients through the idea phase and get them to actually ready to do something?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I believe that organizations generally have a lot of really valuable data at their fingertips.
Mhm.
They may just not necessarily be consolidating it all into that right story. So, the first thing that I usually do, one, will interview and ask questions with the person who would be hiring me. Who is this driver, this visionary or responsible party? And what do they see success looking like? Then understanding who the team is. So, who are those key players and those key stakeholders along the way? And how do they feel about this potential change? Or do they even know about it at all? And then collecting everything from the overall ecosystem. Fortunately, most companies have employee engagement data, exit interview data, performance review data, succession plans, just an abundance of information that I've seen in my HR work that can be pulled in to help them build this plan. Um, and they shouldn't be overlooked because oftentimes the answers to the roadblocks and potential challenges are there. So the next step is, I think, really getting transparent and realistic about the things that could get in the way. What are some of those systemic challenges or realities of the organization? And which of those do you want to change? And which do you want to stay the same? Right? Because there is no one right path to digital transformation. And I think that's sometimes an error that gets made is assuming there's this perfect framework. And so really being transparent about where the weaknesses are and what the reality is the most important piece, right? That allows you to then start building that plan and challenging whether or not it meets the needs realistically and the budget and timelines.
One of the best things about digital transformation is one, it can mean so many different things to any given business. And where the scope is defined and where the boundaries are for one company are going to be radically different for another company in the same field, in the same industry, right? They are unique monsters unto themselves. Tell us a story about a digital transformation that you were a part of and really the fun, right? The things that didn't go according to plan and what you did with that and navigated through the journey of the transformation.
Oh gosh, they're all incredibly fun. I I have to preface this by saying I think the obstacles are the most exciting part. And they're where the opportunities are. And that's how I approach my work. Right. And so one of the big transformations that I was a part of, I think, was struggling with the definition of what transformation meant. Is this a wholesale change of our structure, our process, our purpose as a team? Or is this just incremental change, right? That needs to be integrated and is part of our continuous improvement value? Because so many companies have continuous improvement as one of their core values. So that was one initial challenge is, are we really committed to a wholesale evolution and being different on the other side? Or are we really just trying to iterate and change and do these things as part of a bigger continuous improvement strategy? The other challenges that I saw were people were very excited. They knew that these things needed to happen. They were feeling pain in their jobs because of manual processes or lack of resources and backfills, and would cheer for the transformation publicly, but then privately wouldn't support it. And we could talk for days about that, right? But the challenge was really digging deeper and trying to understand why don't they want to move forward? And those are, I think, the most pivotal points, right? Are people not supporting the initiative because they don't agree with it? Is it because they don't know the role that they can play? Is it because they don't feel like they have any ownership? Or they're scared? They don't have enough data? There are a lot of pieces in there to prevent that. But I did find that where we got stuck was largely with the people, right? And that's my focus area. Stakeholders having opinions, but not really wanting to own things, right? People wanting more and more data, but not really ever getting to action or ever being satisfied with it. These are normal things that happen. And I prefer to help organizations understand that they're going to come. So looking back on a particular transformation, I think that would have been my advice up front is let's assume that this doesn't go how we planned. Let's assume that we can't plan every detail up front. And instead, we have to find the right way to build a culture of iteration and comfort with that. And a lot of that comes with leadership, right? Making sure that people aren't afraid to fail. They aren't afraid to be transparent when delivering bad news, because delivering the bad news doesn't get any better the longer you wait, especially on a project. So yeah, I think looking back on this one in particular with a different manufacturing company, it was more about understanding that commitment and not over analyzing and empowering the people in the right way, not necessarily in a cookie cutter way.
The thing that is always so amazing to me in organizational change undertakings, right? Everything succeeds or fails with people, and getting them, each individual, connected to their what's in it for me is the most laborious task, and it is critical to success. And it is one of those things that almost every senior leadership team is like, well, it'll just happen. No, it is such an art to understand and acknowledge from day one that people resist change. It's inherent in our nature. We like to be comfortable and do the things that we do, and that they have that kind of sense of safety and security. That to shift that requires time, care, and dedication to individuals and their needs and understanding it, right? Do they need more data? Do they need to understand that their job is safe? What are those things that are creating that fear and that resistance? And once you break through that, in my experiences, those who might have been the vocal resistors may also then become the most vocal change agents, because the light bulb went off and they see it.
Oh yeah,
So
they have to connect with the story. And I think an example from their own experience where they've overcome something that seems this challenging before, right? Just that reminder that people are capable of incredible things and that they've already gotten this far because they've made changes. It's fun to watch, and I do think it's critically important that leaders are investing in that and assuming up front that you have to invest in the people. It has to be the key priority, whether it's upskilling them, talking to them, providing them with different resources, devoting a full-time person to be there and help navigate and orchestrate some of these things for them. It's just the cost of doing the transformation.
it is. And if you do it and plan for it at the beginning, the cost isn't as much as if you try and fix it on the back end.
Oh yeah.
Exponentially different.
Right. You can spiral over and over and over. In fact, one particular example with a project I was on, they had been trying to do this for 5 years. 5 different people coming in, 5 different internal projects teams devoting their limited available time on this, and still weren't making movement. That's really difficult for the team. And it builds on their distrust of future projects. So at some point, you have to break that mold, help people understand it's a journey, not a destination, but you're going to follow through on the things that you've committed to by giving them the things that they need and empowering them along the way with the things that they can do versus, focusing on filling those gaps with others, right? I have seen situations where I think leadership, it's easy for anyone to look for a quick win or a magic wand. Say, oh, but if we just hire this one perfect unicorn employee, they'll fix everything. I have personally seen time and time again throughout my career and my entrepreneurial journey that unless the organization has changed around it and the right structures are in place, even if you find the unicorn, they're set up to fail. Yeah. And instead, I would encourage leaders to invest in the people they have. The talent you need to drive the transformation is already in the building. They might just need a little enhancement or coaching along the way, right? That's where organizations like mine or yours can come in to help them do that so that when we leave, that team now has that different skill set, right, to grow. And then our support can evolve into something else where it's needed.
Absolutely. And the last point that you make is one of my favorites, right, is a legitimate consulting practice is there to help the business grow and scale. It is to upskill the individuals, build capabilities, because we should not be embedded there forever. That is, right, I can call it the Big Four consulting model. Today's word for it is parasitic. And they embed more and more people in and create an addiction and a dependency, or lots of different ways I mix up that metaphor. But what you're describing is building skills and capabilities in the internal teams. And that's what really will make a business grow and thrive and get through that transformation, because you're absolutely right. The credibility and knowledge already exists in the employees, and they may just need somebody to help navigate through the experience and that journey, but they already know what needs to be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's no quick answer, right? There's no quick fix. That's the beauty of it, right? And that's the true return on the investment for the companies, is to see that movement in their own staff and their loyalty that grows, their engagement that grows because of it, their ownership of building something that works. And I think it helps to create that ecosystem where people are more ready to adapt, more ready to take on challenges and try new things. And that will be the differentiating characteristic, not only for businesses, right, to thrive in a rapidly changing digital landscape, but for individuals. That ability to just adapt, pick up new skills and apply them, and see things in the sense that the only way past them is through them, right? The obstacle is the way, right? If I were to quote Ryan Holiday, one of my favorite writers, it's the path for both the organization and the people to really see results.
Alyssa, if people are curious by what you're doing and how you're doing it and want to learn more, how do they find you?
Probably the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. You can find me as Alyssa Borden on LinkedIn, or my business page, SuccessBridge, or email me at alyssa@successbridge.net.
Absolutely awesome. So today, right, we talked through Alyssa's journey creating SuccessBridge and navigating with her clients through digital transformations, working to ensure that ideas are tied to outcomes and that the visions are actually executable. The key in all of this are people, and making sure that they understand what the journey is, why they're on it, and what they're going to get at the end. And that's the path to navigating through the obstacles and making sure that you can get to that transformation that will be a game changer for the people and the business itself. Alyssa, thank you so much for being here with me today. And audience, you know the rules. Don't get left behind. Join me next time.
That's it for today's episode of Disrupt and Innovate. Head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show.